So I think it might, I mean, it could be simply housekeeping related to that. Maybe an aspect of more talking, a smaller quarter.
That it? Oh my gosh.
It could be wagging their finger at everybody to say, good evening, sir. Why people keep coming back here? We need to be working together.
You think Barry will show up?
Yeah, well, I mean, he didn't say anything other than he wasn't going to accept service. I'm still curious who's paying.
I asked him if he was working pro bono when we were up at, and he got very, none of your business, and that was no effect on him.
Well, I think he was asked to come into things by the folks that were trying to help out, you know. So, that's not a thing anymore, you know, it seemed to have.
Well, how long is that flight? Isn't that flight like a day? 16 hours of flight?
I mean, through him anyway, they said,
Yeah.
we're, happy to come up with something else.
I thought it was more than
What's
that.
something else?
That's what he said.
Huh.
Well,
But, yeah.
that's what he turned into.
Well, you kind of get some sort of a.
Oh, it's your drive, long haul driveway.
It's interesting
Oh,
looking at the globe, especially
it
since
was
you have
okay.
the
It
look at the
mostly-
northern part of the globe.
It is steep.
Oh, it is?
Oh, it's very steep. And we,
Yeah, exactly.
the last week while it was warm, when we were gone, we had a bunch of delivery trucks come
Oh,
up.
really?
And so it's usually a very good surface. I mean, even when the other roads are bad, our driveway is usually good, but it's very rutted right now, which is not gonna be good for the rest of the winter, right? You know?
Once it gets started,
It's a
you
big
Yeah.
display, a
you
big
know, oh
glory.
well.
Oh, well, good steering practice.
We
It's
learned,
really impressive.
we learned something about plowing though. We just got back
don't
this afternoon from a cottage that we have in Canada. And they have a very different idea there about plowing the roads. Our driveway there had
Very cool, it's much like.
5 or 6 inches of snow on
I
it.
mean, I
Ever
don't
since
know.
then, yes, so, you know, and the roads were, you know, had 3 inches of snow on them.
So they just, as long as it's not like icy, they just drive.
Yeah.
Someone could
And
stop that based on-
we talked
Don't
to some,
That would sort of be the.
that's it. But we talked to some people in the town and they say, yeah, you know, the town is of the view that if you live in a place like this,
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly.
it's not unreasonable to expect you to have studded snow tires. I mean, why should we keep the road so that, you know, somebody who doesn't have snow tires on their car can just, yeah. So it's a very, it's a different, but it's like this, I mean, it's a not very densely populated rural, in that case, farming community, but, and probably have fewer people with maybe more disposable income who demand more of, you know, and it's very, because it's sort of a farm background town, I think everybody, well, they do, that too, they all have
Very
pickup
big
trucks and
tractors.
tractors.
Very, very
But I
big
think the
tractors.
view is, you know, we take care of ourselves, and then the town does what the town does, but, you know, yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Is that in, Quebec province?
It's in Ontario, it's
Oh.
about an hour and a half north of Ottawa.
Oh,
When I was in school, there was only
Real winter.
40.
real winter is right.
Did you come
Even realer.
over through Orford, 25A, or?
It's, well, it was nice
Up,
because,
over, and down.
Close to.
I'm over at New Hampshire, so just ripped up the highway real quick and then through Plymouth.
That little section from Orford over to 118, just watched tonight with her animals coming out.
Okay.
Okay. I bet.
I had a friend of mine on a motorcycle going through there and had a moose come out and start running alongside him.
Oh. A riding buddy, okay.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be cold tomorrow. but
David,
not
is it
cold.
7 o'clock?
Yes, it is.
Mhm.
Saturday, Sunday.
Yep, 7 o'clock.
So,
2 degrees.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. Our first item on the agenda is a non-public session with town council, after which we will come back into public session. So, is there anything else that I need
Joe,
to say?
You just go out there.
yeah, but we do need to have public,
Yeah, how are we gonna know when that's gonna happen?
when, I don't understand you.
When we can come back?
I'll open the door.
But what, Zoom people?
As I said on email, I actually have a draft email all sitting, ready to go, that I will send out.
I expect you don't have any use.
No idea.
Okay.
No estimate.
No estimate.
Good.
So, I would entertain a motion to move that we enter into non-public session pursuant to RSA 91-A 3, 11 for consideration of legal advice provided by legal counsel.
I'll second.
Okay,
Point of order, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Do you need to designate an alternate?
I do not.
Yes, you do.
We have 4 members.
It says if you're missing a member, the chairman shall appoint an alternate. RSA 673:11. I didn't bring my statute, so.
Just so happens we have council here, so
Yep.
you can tell.
And whenever a regular member of the land use board is absent, the chairperson shall designate an alternate if one is present to act in that person's place, except that only the alternate designated for that's ex officio, so.
Okay. Well, then I guess I would designate Hebe as an alternate, or as our board member.
Thank you.
Do you have to leave?
Well, he has to leave anyways, because he's, there's a conflict of interest here.
I see. Okay.
We haven't been told what's going on.
Yeah. Well, what's going on is that Rich has threatened litigation against the board.
Right.
And so we're meeting with council to discuss that threat of litigation. It would be improper for him to be part of
Right, I
that.
was just unknown.
Thank you.
Okay?
I will turn my camera off and take it away.
Recording in progress.
Okay. I would I'd accept a motion that we seal the minutes of the non-public session pursuant to RSA 91-A 3, Roman numeral 3, until such time as council advises that the matter is resolved, as making the minutes public would render the proposed action ineffective. Do I have a motion? And a second?
Second.
All those in favor, raise your hand. Okay. So, we are back in public session, and upon advice from council, we are not in a position to be able to discuss the survey that was just completed, but we are willing to hear public comment from the public. And so, if folks want to go ahead and share their comments, go ahead. Lynn?
Yeah, I have a comment. that I'd like to read, and I'll give a copy of it to David. I'll actually send it to you by email too, so you can.
Perfect.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Lynn, come right up so that people on the Zoom can hear you.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
you want me to
Where's
sit
the-
down for
where's the
this portion,
microphone?
or-
Yeah, at least for the next
Got it.
half hour,
Um,
so I think that would be helpful.
In November of 2025, the Lyme Planning Board circulated a housing survey to town residents, offering both electronic and paper versions. Residents were asked to complete the survey to help inform the planning board's future work and development of a town housing plan. The survey was conducted against the backdrop of a very real housing crisis, one that affects the entire country, the state of New Hampshire, and Lyme itself. The state has explicitly asked towns to help address this challenge. Here in Lyme, we see the consequences of inadequate, unattainable housing every day. Local businesses struggle to hire workers because daily commutes are simply not reasonable. Seniors who've lived in Lyme their entire lives are unable to find affordable options to downsize within their own community. And new families and individuals who would love to join Lyme are effectively shut out by the limited number of available homes and their often prohibitive cost. It was in this context that the survey was distributed. At the December Planning Board meeting, when the survey results were scheduled to be discussed, the board instead decided to discard the survey results entirely without compiling them. I believe this decision deserves reconsideration. Because I feel strongly that the survey represented an important opportunity to hear from our fellow townspeople, I filed a right to know request and received copies of the paper surveys along with access to the electronic data. A group of town residents then spent many hours manually compiling the responses, including the extensive written comments. These unofficial results were published in the Lyme Gazette and shared via listserv. The response to the survey was remarkable. Nearly 25% of town voters participated, which is an extraordinarily high response rate for a voluntary municipal survey. That level of participation tells me something important. People in Lyme care deeply about housing and about the future of this community. This is reinforced by the thoughtful and detailed written comments contained in the survey results, which show that residents did not treat this as a check-the-box exercise, but a serious opportunity to be heard. It's critical that the planning board make use of this substantial body of input as it considers the path forward. I believe the decision to discard the survey results is flawed for 3 reasons. First, the concern that the survey may have been tainted by a private blog post outlining one individual's answers strikes me as largely hypothetical. While it's likely that some people read that blog post, I believe it's highly unlikely that residents mindlessly copied answers on an issue of such importance to the town. In reviewing the data, I see little evidence that this occurred. And even if some respondents were influenced, that influence likely reflected genuine agreement with what was reflected in the blog post. Moreover, discussion of the survey was widespread at community meetings, local gatherings, restaurants, and social activities. Exposure to a blog post is no different from exposure to any other conversation taking place in town. And all of this reading and conversing adds to the richness of the civic process, the process of considering various views while refining one's own. To dismiss the results of the survey on this basis risks underestimating the seriousness and integrity of our Lyme residents. Second, it's important to recognize what the survey was and what it was not. It was not designed to produce statistically significant, precise results. It was not intended to establish scientific certainty. The questions overlapped and were not parallel, and they allowed for extensive written feedback. There were also no safeguards against multiple submissions or even to ensure that the people who submitted responses were in fact Lyme residents. These limitations are not fatal flaws. They simply reflect the survey's purpose: to inform, not dictate, the planning board's work. The same trust in residents that underpinned the survey's design should also apply when we're interpreting its results. Using the survey as an input does not obligate the board to any particular outcome, nor does it set a precedent that future decisions must be driven by informal public feedback. Finally, and most importantly, the results themselves are compelling. Overwhelmingly, respondents believe that Lyme needs more affordable and attainable housing. Overwhelmingly, they believe that increasing the rate of residential development by more than double the current pace is important. And overwhelmingly, they also believe that growth must be pursued thoughtfully, with careful attention to preserving the character and qualities of the community we all value. These views are not contradictory. They're nuanced, reasonable, and deeply rooted in care for Lyme's future. To set aside this level of consensus risks weakening public confidence in the planning process itself, particularly when residents were explicitly invited to participate. Respectfully, I ask the planning board to reconsider its decision not to formally compile and consider the housing survey results. This is a valuable body of information and commentary, provided generously by the people of this town. It deserves to be part of the conversation as Lyme moves forward with sensible, balanced, and sensitive housing solutions. Thank you for your time and your service to the town.
Thank you, Lynn. Yes?
Joe Steele, I just had some concerns. I actually left the last meeting about the Warren article and went home and watched the Zoom. And I was actually appalled by the word taint over and over again used in that meeting. And the behavior of the planning board, accusing one person of being able to have the town fill a survey out. And then I kind of forgot about it, and ironically, the next day I happened to be at the co-op shopping and ran into a Lyme person. And started talking about the war article first and asked how it was, and I said, well, you know, let me explain some more, and she goes, they go, oh, I don't really have time right now, and it really doesn't matter because I always call Tim Cook to see how I should vote. So is that taint, or is that just another freedom of speech and talking with the neighbors? And I kind of equate that same conversation I had with them as the way you were accusing Rich of trying to tell the whole town how to do. And one taint is just as much as another one. Like, I pretty much have been around long enough that I know pretty much how all of you feel. Like if we wanted to have a solar field, I know of 2 of you at least that would vote it down. If we wanted to have a garden center on Route 10, I know a couple of people that would vote that down. So how you can accuse one person of having a blog on a survey that wasn't, in my opinion, that scientifically well designed, like Lynn said, wasn't a statistically output results, how you can just throw it all out and be arrogant enough to say that you could do it better again because it was tainted. And I think it was the word taint that really got me. There's lots of shades of taint. And none of us are really, when it comes to our beliefs on how the zoning is, are any different than someone putting it on a blog. And that's all I can have to say on that. And I'm really disappointed in that whole behavior of that meeting.
Thank you. Anybody else? Go ahead.
What's next? Where do we go from here?
Do you care to?
Is there anybody online that we have? No hands up?
That's right, we were having no discussion on this.
Oh, is it a question where the board goes next on the survey issue or
Right.
on? The board will take that back up after we can, on our advice regarding the pending matter that's outstanding.
Yeah, could you speak up, please?
The pending matter has caused the board to table any discussions of that under advice of counsel, and when that matter's wrapped up, the board would take it back up.
What matter?
What matter?
It was discussed in non-public, so.
So there's something pending before you can look at the survey? town, a lot of people in town are very frustrated and upset with the lack of transparency here and the lack of this board not being forthcoming and letting us know what's going on. We care about this.
The board's been threatened with litigation. That's the matter that's causing Joe to tell us not.
Can you speak up, please?
Yes, there's been threatened litigation against the board. And so, because someone's threatening to sue us, our
That's
counsel is
right.
advising us to table it and let the lawyers hash it out before we move forward any further with it.
I can remember my term on, a couple of terms on the select board being threatened with lawsuits frequently. And never got sued. I appreciate your circumstance.
Do we have anybody else on Zoom that hasn't asked a question that is interested, or not asked a question, but wishes to
Comments.
provide input?
I haven't seen anyone with their hand up or,
I have one short thing I'd like to just add to what I said, and this is less formal and more practical, which is anyone who, in town, who has any interest in this survey knows what the results are, unless you believe that somehow or other they were compiled incorrectly, which I don't believe. It's there. I assume all of you guys have, I hope you've all looked at the compilation of the results. And to some extent, that's a bell that's difficult to unring. You know, the results of this survey are now part of the conversation in town, the knowledge base in town. And I'm not the planning board and I don't know what litigation issues you have, but if it were me and not worrying about being a lawyer, I would say, why not just take these under advisement and make this issue go away? Because I do believe that the unhappiness, that the perceived lack of transparency from the planning board is creating is not gonna do the planning board any good as it moves forward with some of these difficult issues that we have to tackle as a town. And so my practical advice would be, now that everybody knows what the answers are and you can't keep them secret, why not just say, okay, we've got them, let's move forward. And I know you can't respond to that, but I think the longer this goes on in this, in this way, the more damage the planning board is gonna do to itself. And that doesn't help anybody, because we've got some tough issues that we've gotta tackle. And we've gotta do it as a town and as a group and as cohesively as we can. And this seems to be a real tempest in a teapot here, which is, again, I'm not commenting on the legal issues, and you may have reasons why you can't do that, but.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any input they want to provide? If not, I think we will move on to the next item on our agenda.
This is Liz Cole. Can you see me or hear me?
yep,
We can hear you, yes.
Okay. So, would the board consider hiring professionals to come up with a survey that was trusted by everyone?
We're not able to comment tonight, but thank you for the input.
So not only will you not comment about your allegations about this being tainted, but you won't talk about any other way to gather data, is that correct?
Get into it at this time.
That's not the purpose of this meeting tonight, so.
Advice of counsel.
So, yeah, on advice of counsel, we're not discussing the survey.
I'm not asking about the survey, I'm saying if you believe that the survey is bad, and the town doesn't even have a housing chapter in the master plan yet after 20 years, what are you going to do, this is unrelated to the survey, to develop a survey that you feel confident in, unless, of course, everybody's seen this survey, but.
I think that's
Is
to
that
be
something you
determined.
also feel, council has advised you that you can't talk about gathering data at all?
I would hope that this would get resolved.
Okay, thanks.
Anybody else? Yes,
Yeah, we really are grateful for your efforts in trying to get a survey and seeing where the town is right now. A couple of weeks ago, it was pointed out that Pat Pippin was not getting any younger, so we needed to move, pretty fast. We kind of, it was humor. But I want to put it in a historical context. In 2014, going through my clutter, my downsizing. 2014, there was an aging in place meeting, and we had they were talking about affordable housing options. Attending it was John Stadler, myself, others, but also Jane Palmer, Nancy Grandin, Abby Penfield, and Peggy Little. In 2016, again, another meeting, and I've got notes I could give you. John Stadler, Michael Whitman, Rich Brown, myself, others, Lynn Smith, Peggy Little, Jane Palmer. We need to name and remember these people as forebearers. They were our pioneers to help our community do it, to help it get better. And so we are grateful for your help, and we're considering it positive about changes to help us all. But we need to move forward. Thank you.
thank you. Anybody else? If not, I think we'll move on to our next item on the agenda, which is a public hearing on the proposed zoning ordinance amendment to allow buried propane tanks within the Shoreline Conservation District.
Mr. Chair, would you need me for this?
I think we're good. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Oh, that's your deck.
So, David, we have this Shoreline Conservation District amendment. And the most recent is dated January 8th on the top. And the concerns that were brought up at our last meeting were under capital letter B, item number 7. And it was primarily, I think, a formatting issue.
Thank you.
I think that is, that what we have here is correct.
Yeah, the ones you sent out, David, are the changes, right, the final?
Yes.
What we made last, yeah.
So, does anybody have any comments on the amendment at this point?
Yeah, the board kind of agreed last meeting.
Well, this is it, right? We don't
This-
have time
this
for
is-
another.
Right, this is it.
Right, this is it.
So, I think I'd like to wait till David comes back in the room, but it seems like a motion is in order to accept the amendment as written.
We just have to say whether or not we,
Or,
approve it.
okay,
Want to send it to town meeting for,
We need to take a position as to whether or not we basically support this amendment or not. Because
Okay.
that's what gets written in,
well, you have to vote to send it to town meeting for a vote. It's the board's amendment.
okay. So what we need is a motion to approve the language and send it to town meeting.
So moved.
second.
Okay, do we have a second,
I'll
second from
second.
Hebe?
Yeah.
Are we okay to vote with the four members
Yep.
as we are here? Okay, well, David's back.
No, that's fine, I've got plenty of stuff to play around.
So, David, we have looked at this amendment and the revised language that we had from our last meeting. And we have a motion to approve this and send it on to the town meeting for approval.
Yeah, I'll look for that too.
So, I'd say all in favor, say, raise your hand. All those opposed?
I'm gonna abstain,
Okay,
I just, yeah, I just don't feel like I can,
okay,
I'm just abstaining.
okay.
I'm curious, what's your basis? Well, why the hesitation?
I don't really like doing zoning by error or mistake. And I feel like this wouldn't have come up if somebody didn't have an error or a mistake. And so I'm just not, it's not part of a comprehensive look at our shoreland district to say what should be in there and what shouldn't. This is addressing a specific issue that was in error, and so we're amending it to.
By error, you mean?
There were improvements made that this relieves, then it makes that, the improvements that were made no longer an error. And I think if we're gonna amend our shoreland district, we should look at the whole thing and go, what else is wrong with it? And not just try to amend somebody's, or fix somebody's mistake. So that's all, I'm just, it's more process related than, content,
Right,
so,
thank you.
yeah. I mean, I believe this is consistent, I don't know what else is wrong with it, we haven't really looked at it, but so that's my problem.
Okay, I mean, I think I would comment also that, we've had this before us for many months, so if there was anything else that members wanted to bring up as it relates to this, that would have been an opportunity to
Yep.
do so, so.
Well, my bad, but I, was focused on housing survey,
Sure.
actually,
Yeah.
so,
Okay.
All right,
So
but that's
that,
totally fine, I'm just abstaining, you guys have already approved it, so that's good, and it's gonna get fixed, I hope.
It is an improvement.
Well, it fixes a problem,
That's what I mean,
it fixes a problem, so, that's good.
so we have, are we allowed to work on, address the minutes from the meeting? I just noticed that that's not on our agenda.
Yes, you can add it to his new business.
Okay,
And I gave Joe my copy, so I just printed out a new one, so I gotta go grab it.
okay.
So, do we have to vote on how we?
Everybody voted in favor except for me to send it to town meeting.
yeah, so this will become a warrant.
Right,
Yes.
but then David was saying we have to vote how we've already done that.
Everybody
Okay.
did,
We've
Yeah,
done
We
that.
approve it.
yeah.
Yes.
The ones to send to town meeting and the others of whether we approve it.
We don't need to do that.
Okay.
So, we've got the minutes from
Minutes
the
from-
January 8th
Yep.
meeting, and I'm open for discussion on those minutes. Any errors, omissions? Let's wait till David gets here.
Yeah, that's true. These guys.
I just saw some typos.
I had sort of
Go ahead.
question.
Yep.
Excuse me, on the top of page 2,
Mhm.
at the beginning, well, starting on page 1, it says, it was also noted that plus 50% to accommodate changes to the structure to support the conversion did not have a defined unit. Maybe I'm the only one, but I wasn't quite clear on that. I mean, should we say, didn't have a definition as to what that means, maybe?
Defined unit just means lot coverage, square feet of lot coverage, or.
What the unit of the
How
15%?
about
Doesn't have a
a,
defined-
did not have a defined unit of measurement, perhaps?
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah, because
Yep.
I think somebody, yeah, okay.
Unit of measurement, yep,
Right.
Engineering shorthand.
yep.
And then the next paragraph down starting with Rich Mengy. Nobody spoke against it. I think John Stadler did.
I sent in that comment.
Yeah,
Yes, I agree with you, you did.
And I just put down John Sadler voiced several concerns he had with the language written.
Yeah, so, and take out nobody spoke
Right.
against it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
And then the next, right there, the next sentence, Tim Cook moved to disapprove the petitioned amendment instead of disapprove of the petition. I mean, it seems like it should read, move to disapprove the petition.
And just strike of.
okay.
Yeah, and then put an ED on the end of petition.
No, yeah, the petitioned amendment.
Yeah, petition, put an ED on the end. I think. Yeah, I guess that's all I have. Oh, I know, item 3, just a typo, David Kahn instead of Davis
Oh.
Kahn.
And
My
town
apologies.
council is,
Yeah, SEL,
SEL.
SEL.
yeah. And there's also another one.
I think we should make a note that, Nat Niles was absent and the chair declined to appoint an alternate.
At the beginning of
At the beginning, yep.
Okay. Is there anything else?
Well, that has a bit of a ripple effect, because the vote might have been different. Wouldn't have changed the majority, but.
Seeing none, I'd accept a motion to accept the minutes as revised.
So moved.
Second by Tim. So all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. So that is it. I think we have gone through our agenda. Is there anything else? Any new items on the?
New business?
New
David, do you have any
business?
new business?
No, not at the moment.
Do you have any apps coming in
Nope.
for our next week, or next meeting?
I mean, I think that Liz brought up a good, I mean, we've got time now if we don't have a new application, right? And, so I wonder if there is something that we could do that was, you know, factual number stuff that would be part of our housing chapter. That, you know, it's no policy, not controversial, but just get some, facts in, you know, that we could prepare that would be going into that housing chapter.
Mhm.
You know, just to do that, or, Nat had done some work on the plan development. He'd done some work on, no, that it was the accommodations, right? A zoning amendment thing. That had to
Oh.
do with lodging accommodations, right?
Yeah,
And that has a, you know.
and transient, and the definition of transient
Right,
maybe?
yeah, so, and we never really talked about it, but maybe we should, I mean, since, that has to do with housing and,
I think it's unclear.
it's really unclear
Yeah.
and maybe we wanna think about that kind of thing.
What I suggest is for the meeting next week, have a discussion on what the board would like to accomplish over the next year.
Well, I'd like to get a housing chapter done.
Well, I understand that, I think
So-
you're not the only one, but
Well,
I think just try to lay out a plan, at least talk about a plan for
Okay,
next
well-
year. Or this year.
Okay, well, let's get our data, you know, just the factual stuff. And then I think housing has something to do with what Nat was working on too. I mean, we can still proceed, I think, without, you know, doing some stuff that works toward our end of getting a housing chapter without being stalled
Yep.
by the survey situation. So that's what I'm just trying to, you know, let's do something.
Well, I was gonna say the other thing, which we've been talking about, David has some things in the zoning that the CBA has a problem with, and so it would be nice if we could work on some of those, I think, too. You know, so we've already
David's
talked
suggestion's
about
probably a good one,
some.
why don't we all sort of think about it over
Yep.
the next couple of weeks?
Yeah.
And we could, if there's things that we think ought to be addressed over the
Right.
coming year, we could send David a note, and then
Yep.
we could compile a list, and then we could
Right.
sort of discuss that as a group, rather than just sort of ad hoc. Speaking of ad hoc.
Right, well, the thing we did do was, we had that list, and I think everybody was assigned to work on.
What was that, was it some table of uses I like?
You did the table of uses,
Yeah, right.
Nat did the lodging
I
thing,
did agricultural.
you did agricultural, so we've already got like content that we could be reviewing. We
Right.
don't have to go back to like square one, but I'm just trying to be a little responsive to what people said, it's like, let's work on housing related stuff. And, I don't know, maybe clearing up the agricultural thing, cause that's a mess, cause that messes up when people wanna put houses on ag soil, you know, and how much is available to be used. So maybe, you know, that's important to
Right.
get cleared up so that we know how much is
Yeah,
able
because
to be used.
Right, because the ZBA, I think at this point, isn't following the way the zoning is actually
Right,
written, so
right.
it would be nice to.
So, I mean, it just like, we don't have to, and we already have Nat's thing.
Well, I would like to, have the board have a plan
Right.
of things they wanna,
Right.
because then when I'm building agendas for the year,
Mhm.
I know the things that the board wants to,
Mhm.
and I can try to steer any free time into those items.
Great plan.
And try to,
Yeah.
Well, we
herd
have
cats.
the table of uses and we have Nat's thing, so I mean, we could talk about those at the next meeting, since we already have them, as well as give you comments about what we wanna do. Cause, I mean, he did a lot of work on that, I know, and we just
Will
kind of
he-
shoved it aside.
Is he back?
He'll be back at the end of the month, he said, so he'll be back for the next.
And our next meeting is,
I think it's the 12th.
3/12.
Something like that.
yeah,
So he's back at the end of this month.
Right.
So he will.
Right.
Yeah, he was essentially gone for basically
Yeah.
all of January.
So do you have copies of those,
Getting
David?
to Australia takes a month anyway.
I believe so.
Yeah,
I will-
so if you can provide them to us so that we can look at them, and I probably have them somewhere, and I have a pile of Lenore's of stuff. And, I'm sure they're there, that'd be really fun just to be able to print them out from what you sent out.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
yeah, I think that that's a good thing. I mean, one of the things that I recall from Nat's list was it was very extensive and,
He went into, I think it was the Hanover ordinance to get into short-term rental types of stuff.
yeah,
And, you know, but why that all came up was pretty much the conversion of the breakfast on the Connecticut from a lodging accommodation to really what is multifamily housing. And, so,
Apartments,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, so, yeah, so, I mean, we should, it's not clear, I mean, we don't have a definition, so we can't really,
yeah.
of what transitory meant, was that
Well, I
thing?
think, I mean, isn't it that it's clear about what it means in the common district, but once you get into the rural district, it's not? That's what the,
Well-
was that, I'm just trying to
Yeah,
Claw back.
I'm not even sure, I think it's having to do with what the lodging accommodation says transient. And so, I mean, if they stay for 2 years, is that transient?
There's no real limitation on
Right,
what transient.
means, and so he did research, obviously, cause, yeah, and, yeah. And
Right.
I don't know if that wouldn't, of course, his dad's been used. I mean, it may help if people wanna change the Latham Inn into something else, or the Dowd's Inn into something else, cause it has been lodging accommodation.
Yep.
To make that path more clear about changing that into, permanent housing.
Oh, it'd be great to have that defined in the zoning as
Yeah, I mean, it just
Mhm.
would, might as well, I mean, that's something else that's kind of related to that project. And we should have it figured out.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. I would accept the motion to adjourn.
Move it.
Okay, thank you.
Chris?
Hey, Jackie,
We'll look at
just
that
saw
tomorrow.
something that said 8 to 12 on Sunday.